The second day of the month of Elul, Beis Elul, and we are learning Daf Chaf Amud Aleph. Copying the link here so that Chafra can follow. I'm giving the shir from home this morning because the Rebbetzin is on her way to Eretz Yisrael, and Baruch Hashem, I'm going to get the kids up and ready. So there we go. And that should do it. Learning Daf Chaf Amud Aleph in Maseches Pesachim. We left off really at the top of Chaf Amud Aleph. We'll go back just a couple of moments to remind us all where we are holding. The Gemara was discussing a particular case of the Tanaim about a machat, a needle that was found in the basar of a korban, and the needle was tummy, and the basar and the yadayim and the sakin were all tahar from this situation, and the Gemara was asking the question: okay, well, what exactly is the origin of the tumah of this machat? We had suggested potentially that this was a din of suffik tumah. And then there was a question. This was the bottom of Yud Tes Amud Beis from yesterday. It says the Gemara Mishum Dahav Safik Tumah Haba Bidei Adam Amar B'Yochanan V'Amar B'Yochanan Safik Tumah Haba Bidei Adam. That if you have a Safik Tumah that comes as a result of a person, even though it is an inanimate object, which is impossible to ask that inanimate object what happened to it, and in general, unless you can ask what happened to it. We applied the principle that suffix is the kula. So the Gemara says the top of Chaf Amud Aleph Nishalan Alav, that if the person has das, you can ask about what happened to this needle. It says the Gemara v'afilu b'kli hamunach al gabei karka, and even a kli, even a vessel, something that was left on the ground, kedavar sheyesh b'y das lishal. It is as if it has knowledge to be able to ask it what happened. Why? Because you can figure out. Rashi points out, even though, firstly, you knew there was a kli tahar. Now that there's a suffix, ein by das it does not have knowledge to be able to ask it. It says uvay loy haya adam isaac she yehei melicha miviyah biyada. And it's not normative to imagine that somebody would be schlepping it around. Aval adam asuk betum shahaya nais sheres biyada safik nag bikli safik loy naga in rishos hayachid hu sipukai tame. This item that people wouldn't ordinarily be schlepping around, and a person walked by, and you know that person was tame. Or was holding in his hand a sheretz. Rashi says, something naga b'kli. This is shaila. Did the sheretz touch the kli or did it not? So you could ask the person, did you touch the kli? And if he says, I don't know if I did or I didn't, so that's why we say safek is going to be tame. That's a clear munach al gabei karka. Says the Gemara as follows. It says v'habasar tame. We said in the Mishnah that the basar itself, that the flesh of this this animal is going to be tameh as a result of coming into contact with the needle. Basar tameh says the high basar is kasha b'mai. Well, hold up a second. In order for basar, which is meat, to be able to be mekabel tuma, it needs to have a machshir, needs to have come in contact with some kind of liquid that is going to make it kosher to be mekabel tuma. Says the Gemara b'mai, but what exactly was that thing that was machshir, the basar? Says the Gemara, name of this kasher b'dam. Maybe you want to say that it was his kasher b'dam, that the blood of the animal is the thing that made it kosher. V'ha amar b'chia, we've seen this already. V'ha amar b'chia bar Abba, says b'chia bar Abba amar b'yochanan, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, minayin ledam kachim sheina machshir. How do you know that the blood of a korban is not a machshir? Because the pasuk tells us that you cannot eat it. You have to pour it out like water on the ground. The water that is spilt out like blood, that is machshir. That's the first blood that comes out of the animal. Once you've shechted it, that you're going to be zarek al gavi mizbech. Dam shenishbach kamayim. that blood is a machshir. And that which does not come out like water, meaning it doesn't flow out, it's the tamsis, it comes out at the end, ain't a machshir, that is not a good machshir. So what is the blood that has now come in contact with the with this basar? It's not the blood that came out right away. That blood has already been thrown in the mizbech. This blood that's left, that's damatamsis, that's not going to be a machshir. Maybe it became tame with the mashing, with the liquids of at the bottom of the slaughterhouse of the Beis Hamikdash, like blood, maybe from another korban, or the water that ostensibly the water that was washing the floor of the basement Tavchaya. Rabbi Yosi, by Rabbi Chanina, didn't Rabbi Yosi say in the name of Rabbi Chanina, Mashi basement Tavchaya, Loi Dayan Shehin Dechan, Ela Shein Machshirin. Didn't Rabbi Yosi, this is riffing off of the story of the limit of Yosef ben Yazer, is straight up. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina tells us that it's not only that the mashkin of the mitzvah chaya are loy dayan shein dechan. It's not enough that they're tahar. Ela shein machshir. They also cannot be machshir, meaning it doesn't help in either direction to make it tameh. I mean, the blood of the water at the bottom of the slaughterhouse on the Beis Hamikdash is tahar. It cannot be metame anything else, and it cannot make something into to be mashir the kabel tuma. Ve'ela diskasher b'chivas hakodesh. Says the Gemara, well, maybe it was not niskasher. It didn't become kosher with any liquid. Maybe it became kosher b'chivas hakodesh, with the love of kachim. What exactly is the svara to say that it became kosher with chibas hakodesh? So the reason that we need to be machshir something is lichora, it seems, because then it brings it into normative usage. It becomes normative usage for human beings. But kachim are different. Kachim, from the moment that they're shechted, it's already about to be used. The chibas hakodesh, the love that we have for kachim, that the Torah has and that we have for the karbanos, maybe that is the thing that is able to be machshir, to be mekabel tuma. Says the Gemara, Amor, that sounds like you're saying the mahanya le chivas hakodesh, that this idea of chivas hakodesh helps li'ivsule gufe, to make the karban into something which is could be tameh. Could it also make a rishon tumah and a sheni tumah? Meaning, can it pass out chibas hakodesh? That could apply for the meat itself. Does that mean that it could also become tameh to make other things tameh? Says the Gemara, Dirshu to buy Rish Lakish. If that was true, then we could answer Rish Lakish's question. What's Rish Lakish's question? Rish Lakish asked the question of a tsurid shel menachos, the dry part of the mincha. Mincha is made out of flour, and it is mixed with oil. So that flour, that's called the tsurid. The tsurid of the menachos has not come into contact with liquid. So can it have a din of a can it make a rishon l'tumah? Can it make a sheni l'tumah? Meaning, can it pass on? Tumah? Says the Gemara. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Says Rav Yehuda in the name of Shmuel Kagain. So, meaning, and the fact, by the way, and the fact that Rish Lakish didn't have an answer to this question means that chivas hakodesh is not enough. It's not enough, because if the shel menachos was a question by Rish Lakish, so then it seems to be that chibas hakodesh is enough to make the thing itself into something tameh, but it would not be able to pass it on. Says Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, so it cannot be that this is a question of chibas hakodesh. Maybe chibas hakodesh will be enough to make it tummy, meaning to make it mushal lekabel tuma, but not more than that. Says Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishmal, what's going on? What we are talking about is a para of zivchei shlamim. Zivchei shlamim means that this is a korban that is going to be eaten three ways. It is eaten by the mizbeach. Mizbeach gets the chalavim and murim. There's a part of it that goes to the kohen, and the part that goes to the baalim, to the owners. Ve'avir b'nahar, and he, the owner, he led it through a river. V'shachta, and he shechted it. V'adayin mashke tefech aleha, but he led it through the river on the way up to the Beis Hamikdash. It's still wet. The animal is still wet. It says Nim says perish, and if the needle was found in the entrails of the animal, so says the Gemara Hakol Tahar. That's how Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel. All of it is going to be tahar. It says the Gemara, "V'nehadar perish v'nitin lebasar." Yeah, but the perish, the excrement of the animal that the needle was found in, it says v'nitin lebasar, is now going to make the basar tameh. What happened is the needle has tuma. It's found in the excrement of the animal after you shechted it, meaning there's the stuff that comes out, and the needle is found in that liquid, and that liquid is tameh. Says the Gemara, Amar of Adabar Ava, no. Who says that we're talking about a liquid? Who says that the stuff that came out of the animal was a liquid? Maybe we're talking about excrement that is thick, that's heavy. Amar Ravashi, Ravashi says, I feel like you could even say, that it was in a very watery excrement that came out of the animal, because even if that would be a liquid, it's a disgusting liquid. Nobody likes that liquid. So that would not be a liquid that is drinkable, and therefore it's a mashke saruach. It's not going to be makabel tumah. Tani Tam Kame de Rav Sheshes. There was a particular Tana that was teaching in front of Rav Sheshes. What does it mean that there was a Tana that was teaching in front of Rav Sheshes? Rav Sheshes was an Amora. So we pointed out before that the Tana in the Beis Medrash of the Amoraim was the guy that he was the Sholem Meshiv. He was the guy that knew all the Mishnayos and all the Brises and all the Toseftas Baal Peh, and his job was to read out the Mishnayos for the Amoraim, and then they would explain it. Meaning they would say over the Mishnah, the Brisa, the Tosefta, and then the Amoraim would explain it. So the Tana, meaning the Sholem Meshiv, said in front of Rosh Hashanah, a particular din. So Sheretz Metame as Hamashkin. We have a Brisa that says the Sheretz, that a dead creepy crawly, is Metame Mashkin. Could be Metame liquids. Well, Mashkin Metame Sakli. And the Mashkin can be Metame the Kli. Ukli Metame as Archlin. And the kli, the vessel could be metame food, and the food could be metame liquids. And we see from this that there are three tumas from the sheretz. Says the Gemara, hold up a second, honey, arbahin. That's not three, that's four. What are they? We just said that you start off with sheretz, could be metame mashkin metame kli metame ochlin metame mashkin. That's not three, that's four. Says the Gemara, hani arbahin. Says the Gemara, guys, mashkin the ratio. No. Mashkin the ratio, that's a mistake. Cut that out. That was an inaccurate transmission of that brisa. That's inaccurate. It's not the sheretz was metame the mashkin, and the mashkin metame the kli. It's the sheretz was metame the kli. The first mashkin is not part of the story. Adarabba, says the Gemara, hold up. Why are we cutting out the first mashkin? Guys, mashkin the sefer. Cut out the mashkin at the end. Can be cut out the mashkin for oichlin metame the mashkin. The oichlin could be metame the mashkin, and therefore lamadnu shalosh tumas b'sheretz. So that last one, take that out. That's your third one. Goes mashkin the sefer, says the Gemara. So we say loy. Because we do not find a single Tana that talks about a case of mashkin that's metame a kli, That's why we're going to take out the first one. We don't find anywhere in the Tanaim of a mashka that's going to be matame the kli. Ella, except for one, we did have one, and that was Ella Rabbi Yehuda. It was the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda v'Hadrei, and that was the whole sugi that we learned a few days ago. Rabbi Yehuda was chazar on that tshuva, meaning he didn't believe. Originally, he thought that the mashkin could be matame the kli, and then we had a whole discussion whether he held like Rabbi Meir that it's not matame at all, or he held like Rabbi Yossi that it is matame, that it can become tame, but it cannot pass on the tumah. So Vahadar Bey, and he retracted that he agreed that you cannot have mashkin being matame the kli. V'simanech, and the way that you should remember this brisa correctly. What's the din here? V'simanech nizayasa. What exactly is nizayasa? Nizayasa, Rashi points out, is the way that that beer is made. So for those that don't know how beer is made, Rashi tells us. Rashi apparently made wine, although that's debated by the historians to the best of my knowledge. It says Rashi v'simanech sheleti b'sidra. Don't get confused in the order of this brisa. Is nizayasa, is the way that you make beer. How do you make beer? Seder metile shecha. If Rashi says the people that are making beer, what do? They take they take the food, v'noten in kli. You have a kli, and then you put the sa'ir in the kli. V'acharkach, metili seicha sha'ir, meaning barley. They're talking about barley beer. Tchila noisim kli. First you have the kli, acharkach eichel, and then you put the barley inside of it. Acharkach mashke, and then you put the water in. That's how you make beer. Meaning comes first the kli, and then comes the food, then comes the mashke. The mashke doesn't come first. Don't think that. Says the Gemara as follows: Tanan Hasam. So okay, it was taught in the Mishnah. Sheretz shenimsa b'tara. If you have a sheretz that is found inside of a oven, hapasha b'seicha, the bread that is in the oven, shnia, is now a shnia, means it is a second degree of tumah. How did it become a second degree of tumah? Because the oven itself is a rishon tumah. So you have the sheretz makes the oven into, that's the oven tumah, makes the oven into the rishon tumah. The oven makes the bread into a shenin tumah. Maybe we should look at this whole oven as if it is filled with tumah, filled with shiratim. And then we could say that the pas is not just a shenin tumah, maybe it's a rishon tumah itself. Amalei says to him, do not think that. The Tanya, because the Brisa tells us, Yachal, you might think you call hakelim mitamin, that all of the kelim will be tameh me'avre kli cheres, from the air of the kli cheres. What exactly is this case here? So Rashi says, Im kli shetav nasan b'seich kli cheres v'sheres v'avra chitzon yachal yehei kli eitz or kli matecha sheb'seich tameh. So if I have a clay pot and I've got other kelim inside of it, I've got knives and I've got forks and I've got spoons, I've got other stuff that's inside of it. So maybe you would think, maybe you would think, the pasuk says everything that's inside of it becomes tameh. You would think that maybe a sheretz falls in and it's only touching the klei cheres. It's landed at the bottom of the klei cheres. It's not touching the knives and forks and spoons. It's not touching anything. So maybe everything should be tameh as a result of the other klei cheres, the air of that kli. Says the Gemara, turning onto Chavam Beis, Amalei, the pasuk says, Kol asher b'seicha yitma. Everything that's inside of it will become tameh. V'samachlei, and right afterwards, the very next pasuk, mikol ha'oichel, of any food. Oichel matame me'aver kli cheres, ve'ein kol ha'kelim matame me'aver kli cheres. Oichel, food, could be tameh as a result of the air of the kli cheres, but kelim are not matame from the of the kli cheres, which means that what's the din? So Rashi points out, everything inside of it that I said to you, and if you would imagine that this kli, that this oven, is as if it is filled with tumah, חשוב לחיצה ונמצא תומה נגס בגבי של כלי שטף וכלי שטף מטעם בגבי. אלא שמע מינה כל אשר בשכל יתמה. What the pasuk is telling you is that everything that is inside of it is going to be tamim machmas kli as a result of machmas kli hu matame, as a result of the kli. Meaning, the sheretz that's inside of it does not create tumah. To the over hakli, it would only be a kli that could be matame. In the over of the whole thing, it says Rashi the matame. The Ashmein Kra, and the pasuk is telling you the Eichlin umashkin hu the makabel tuma mivlada tuma. Food and drink could be makabel from a vlada tuma. Aval, but kli loy does, but the kli cannot become tame from this vlada tuma. It says mahai peruka nafkalan, and from this discussion, what we learned is bechol duch the had ashkichan the ein kli rishon matame kli, that a kli rishon is not able to be matame a kli. And we also learned that food and drink cannot be metame a kli. This is Rashi's essential summary of everything that we have been learning. So the Yalef Lei, as we have learned above, it says and a person that is not an avatuma that touches to tumas nevela, touches the nevela, the sheretz, lo metamikli, and the person can also not be metamikli if he became tamid dichsev, v'anagem nevela yitma. The person that touches the nevela could become tamid, v'lo ksiv kibus begadim, and it doesn't say anywhere that he has to wash his clothes. Aval gabi no say, but a person that is carrying a sheretz, this is a different din of tumas masa, of carrying, tumas maga, of touching. The Maseches, what comes out is that the Gemara is telling us that everything that is inside of the kli does not become tameh as a result of the aver hakli, and therefore the bread is not going to be a rishon latuma. The bread is going to be a sheni latuma, because the sheretz touches the oven, and the oven is touching the bread. But more than that, the air itself does not carry tumah, except for inside of a kli cheres. To be continued tomorrow. Everybody should have a wonderful day.